Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Freethinker Cast. I'm your host Hannah, and in today's episode, Keir Starmer has officially given 16-year-olds in the UK the right to vote, despite this poll actually indicating that 50% of them don't want it anyways. Some commentators like Dan Wootton out there are saying that this is Labour's bid to be the forever government, and that is because Labour's policies are generally really popular with the younger generation. And why wouldn't they be? Free housing, free tuition fees, free spending, government spending, because just like at home, someone else is paying for it. However, 16-year-olds are not stupid. I myself, when I was a 16-year-old, witnessed how unsafe the streets of London had become due to mass migration and illegal immigration. Young schoolgirls in their school uniforms are being approached by predatory migrants on their way to school, like this girl.
No! He's been trying to track some minors, bro! He's trying to minors, bro! Them minors said, police are coming! Police are coming! He's been
And it doesn't take an over 18-year-old to know that Labour isn't doing enough to secure the safety of women and girls. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up, comment your ideas down below, and subscribe to the Freethinker Cast so you never miss a thought. The link for the full episode will be available in the description. Now, as I'm sure you're already aware, 16-year-olds are unable to do many things. They cannot get a tattoo, they cannot use a sunbed, they cannot purchase a pack of cigarettes, and they cannot even get married without parental consent. So you might ask, why is it that if they cannot make such life-changing decisions at this age, why should they be able to vote? Why should they be allowed to have the right to vote? Also, they're not paying tax. They're not like the Irish travellers that start working full-time when they're 12 years old and start taking on more responsibilities. Keir Starmer is saying, well, you can be taxed at 16. Yes, you can be taxed at 16, but how many 16-year-olds are making tax-deductible income? The majority of them are in full-time education, and if they're not, they might be on apprenticeship. They might not be making tax-deductible income, and I actually think there is some argument there for if you are making tax-deductible income, you should be eligible to vote in the UK, if you are a British citizen, of course, because you should have a say in how the country spends its money, especially if that is your money. But the majority of these 16-year-olds are not. They're in full-time college or sixth form. Their vote will cost the taxpayer millions, and if not billions, but because those taxes are not being taken out of their immediate paycheck, maybe future paychecks, they are rendered detached from the repercussions of their voting choices. If I knew I was spending on my parents' credit card, I would shop till I drop. Similarly, if you transition the dependence from parents to policies, young people are more likely to vote in favour of spending insensibly in an economy they don't directly engage in, but indirectly in future years. Free school meals for the whole country. You told me that at 16, I'd be like, yeah, why not? Like, can't we do free school meals for the entire country? I get free meals every day at home. Like, I don't have to pay for anything. You are kind of detached from what money is because you're not making it. The vast majority of 16s are not, okay? So free school, free meals for the whole country, or free housing for everyone, for migrants, for everyone. And I think what Labour are doing is they are taking advantage of the fact that young people are more susceptible to utopianism. I don't want to make any condescending comments. I think everyone's being quite patronising online right now towards young people. I don't think they're stupid. I think that they're detached. I think that they're young. And I think that they have... I actually commend them for their boldness that I think dwindles away into adulthood because people just get worn out by life. It's the most passionate activists are always like teenagers. What do you think Greta Thunberg was? You know what I mean? You're not going to see very many fully grown adults with a mortgage and a pension and responsibilities just embarking across the oceans to save money and to cut down on carbon dioxide emissions and save the planet. It's like something about a youthful zeal that young people have. And I don't like how people are being quite patronising to them online right now because it's not fair. It's not. And especially if you want their votes, imagine, I don't think you're being intentional. I don't think you're being smart. If you're upset, you can't do anything, you can't reverse the policy. Why would you now patronise the entire new demographic of voters that have just come in? Are you thinking? Are you thinking, like, no, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. I believe that Labour is taking advantage of social justice utopianism that younger generations might have because, you say, oh, the younger generations don't know anything, but look at the Labour government and they're fully grown adults, okay? And they're the ones, proposing these policies, enforcing them at the national level, the governmental level. So don't look down on young people. I didn't like that when I was 16, and I just don't ever see myself doing that to 16-year-olds now. And it wasn't that long ago that I was 16. It still kind of feels like, no, it doesn't feel like yesterday, but it feels like, not too long ago. You know what I mean? So according to YouGov's analysis of the 2024 general election, 41% of 18 to 24-year-olds voted Labour. 8% voted Conservative. Green Party attracted 18%. And Reform UK garnered 9% of this age group's vote. Young people like Labour. That's true. Young people like Labour. And the way that I see it is, especially when you've been so young for so long and you've been dependent on your parents for so long, I think Labour's policies mimic the environment in the household. Like the whole idea of everything is just free. It mimics the environment at home for young people. And until they move out, until they realise, actually, this is coming out of my paycheck. Oh my goodness, rent is up. What is the government doing? Only then do they realise it's completely unfeasible to be spending at the rate the government currently is. And they're like, well, maybe we should reel it in. What is this Conservative talking about? Low taxation. I actually would like that. I'd like to keep more of the money that I make. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, as people age. And I remember there's this one smart fella at this one conference. He was like, it's not that young people are liberal, it's that they haven't been given responsibilities. Because I don't know where this was, and I need to find this stat, but he was like, if you look at age groups of people in different countries who work sooner, who get into the workforce sooner, they're more likely to vote Conservative at a younger age. If they don't remain in institutionalized education and they're working full time, they're actually more likely to vote Conservative. I need to find it. If someone can help me finding that. He was this smart fella at this Reason conference that I saw. I need to find this man again. I need to find him. When I was 16, I was sensible. I wasn't stupid. I was smart. And that's not me tooting my own horn. I can ascertain things in my environment. Yes, I was more likely to be, yes, I was more susceptible to an emotional argument because you're a teenager. But no matter how much you see these negative portrayals of teenagers and these stereotypical depictions of them, I say depictions, you can my actual experiences with teenagers. Like, I know you and I will do anything to avoid the loud teenagers at the back of the bus with everything that you can. As an adult, but also as a teenager myself, I was like, gosh, I have to stay away from that section. I don't know what it is, but I know why Rosa Parks didn't want to go back there. It was because there were so many angry, loud teenagers on the back of the bus. And I feel like just because that was your experience with some of the people you went to school with, just because that's what you still see to this day, that doesn't actually mean that doesn't accurately characterize all teenagers. What were you like when you were a teenager? Like, can you just go back to 16 years old? What were you like? I know what I was like. I work with a lot of teenagers as well. They're brilliant. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. If I sat these people down, these level-headed, bright intellectuals, and said, look, this is the mayor of London. He's still refusing to answer on grooming gangs targeting white girls, or targeting any ethnicity really, but predominantly white girls. Do you feel like he's doing enough? Any 16-year-old can empirically state, no, he's not. Why? He doesn't even refuse. He doesn't even answer the question. I think it's been like 3 times now at the London Assembly. They asked him again. Susan Hall asked him again. He's still not saying anything about it. If I was 16, the day after I was approached by a creepy migrant on my way to school, this actually happened, and I saw Sadiq Khan at the London Assembly refusing to answer questions on grooming gangs that are targeting girls on their way to school in their uniforms, I would confidently make the judgment that he was not fit to be mayor. 16, you're not stupid. And especially when this is beginning to affect young people in the same way or in a similar way to adults, I think that they can make that judgment themselves, and I don't think we should engage in patronising remarks towards them. Reports continually emerge of non-British people lurking around secondary schools, primary schools, approaching young girls in their school uniforms and talking to underage girls. You think they don't see this? They think you think that there were not other teenagers on the bus where Alian Andem, the 15-year-old girl, was stabbed to death by her ex-boyfriend? You think they weren't there? You think that this doesn't affect the next generation? It does. The increasing knife crime, the unsafe streets in London. The teenagers see this. They look at the authorities, they look at the people who are supposed to be in charge, and they're saying, what are you doing? I think that was something that I observed, especially when I was first getting into politics and like seeing what's going on in this world. The Bible says, watch and pray. So as a spiritual responsibility, I had to see what's going on with these rulers that are destroying our lives, have way too much overreach, right? And I would just say, what are these, the adults? I think, are these the adults in charge of the country? Is this Rachel Reeves crying in the Houses of Commons? No offense, Rachel. What are you doing? There are 16-year-olds running the country right now. As far as crying in the Houses of Commons because people will oppose your welfare reforms. You cannot be met with political opposition. You don't have the basic emotional stability to manage your responsibilities effectively and with composure. 16-year-olds, as far as I'm aware, are running the government. And I feel like when I was just first figuring everything out, I was like, these are supposed to be the adults. I was incredibly disillusioned by these elected representatives and how they conducted themselves. They're dishonest, they're deceitful, they're liars. They trapped us in our houses for 1.5 years. Are you grounding me? Is the government grounding me? And let me tell you something, at 16 or if you're 26, okay? I don't care how old you are, who is the government to ground you? That's my parents' job. And at 16-year-olds are frustrated by that. Like, there's no way you're trapping me in my house. I should be having fun in the summer. I should be having a good time with my friends. And I can't. That affected 16-year-olds. And they want to have a say in that. If it's a Tory government, a Labour government, and I actually feel like Labour seriously underestimate how many 16-year-olds hate them. I think I saw a poll. I think Patrick Christie's actually did a poll. He didn't do a poll. He retweeted a poll. And Reform are like second to Labour. London is not safe, okay? And 16-year-olds, let me tell you something. They're not happy with this government either. And I don't need to speak on their behalf. I just feel like anyone with a pair of eyes. The UK government crept 24,000 Afghans into this country to the cost of something like £7 billion. Now, a 16-year-old might not understand like the financial ramifications of £7 billion, but I know for a fact they will feel it culturally. They feel it in their schools. They feel a lack of social cohesion in their schools already. So many people flooding into their classrooms that don't speak English, holding back the class. And it's not that everybody shouldn't have opportunities to education. They should. I think it's so important. But when it's at the expense of your peers and now everything's slow and everything's messed up and there's a new kid and he doesn't speak a word of English, it becomes an additional challenge for the teachers and an additional challenge for the pupils. They see this. 24,000 Afghans, where are they going? And we all know that Afghans and women don't get on very well. Teenagers will know this as much as us adults do. Ugh, I'm an adult, gross. I hate saying that. We know this. Look at this report from the Center for Migration Control. Afghans are the top nationality committing sexual assault. Look at this multiculturalism, everyone. Cultures from across the globe. Cultures from everywhere. This is everywhere that Pitbull has been on tour. Mr. Worldwide. Look at this. I think we shouldn't be all doom and gloom about this. I'm so done with this. Every day it's doomsday politics in British media. Like, relax, chill your beans. I genuinely believe that this voting decision by Keir Starmer to reduce the voting age to 16 years old is an opportunity for the political right to expand its campaigning efforts towards a younger demographic and help conceptualize how these issues might affect young people both now and in the future in a way they haven't done before. The dangers of mass migration and government overspending, and not just how it's going to affect you as a concerned parent, but how it's going to affect not the future generations, or, that's what they always used to say, you're the future. They are the now. In fact, I hope that it can increase a sense of urgency for the existing government to not behave so foolishly and spend so recklessly, because it's not affecting the future, it's affecting the now. And in fact, all of these parents are going to be having these conversations with their kids. Now you want to know, rent is up. Have a look. This is how much it costs for you to give me that attitude and for me to put up with it. Labour don't know what's coming for them. Because now 16-year-olds are going to get involved. 16-year-olds are going to have to say, in this knife crime-riddled London, They were there when they saw Elian Andam stabbed to death. You think they're going to be on your side? They were there. They see black boys every day. Sometimes even I read reports of black boys having to carry knives, not even because they're involved in gang violence, but just to protect themselves from it. Unprovoked stabbings happen all the time in London, and disproportionately towards black men that they perceive as a threat. 16-year-olds, listen up. You are no longer the future generation of voters. You might have waited in anticipation for in future years to make an impact in voting and in work and in life. But you're no longer the future. You are the now. So what are you going to do about it? If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a big thumbs up. Comment your ideas down below. And I better be seeing some comments from some 16-year-olds now. What you been getting up to? How have you been doing? I think it's the summer holidays now. I don't actually know. Is it the summer holidays? You got any plans for summer holidays? Who's paying for it? No, you have to think. I want you to actually ask your parents, how much does this holiday cost? You need to start asking questions. Genuinely, you need to start asking questions. How much does this holiday cost, mum? How much does that cost, mum? What is going on here? You need to be involved. You better be like me when I was 16. Ask questions. Are you going to a summer camp? Let me know. I actually think there's a brilliant summer camp coming up. Hosted by Christian Revival Church. You don't actually have to be a Christian to attend. For a summer camp for 16, 17-year-olds. I'll plug the link in the description. Today we have a bindweed and an English rose for my flowers today. Let me know if you like my flowers in the comment section. They take forever to put up, and I am never fully happy with how it looks, but that's how it looks. And the full episode will be available on Spotify. I will see you next time. Bye.